What's up, guys? In today's video we're going to be talking about the best attachments for you guys to be using in Warzone with all of the new Cold War weapons that were just recently added in with the integration of Cold War into Warzone. Now these are by far going to be the best attachments for recoil, range, everything like that, so you guys can get the perfect balance so you guys can get a pretty, I'd say, decent to overpowered setup with almost any gun you're using from Cold War. Now, before we get to that, I want you guys to subscribe if you're new here to drop that thumbs up to today's video. I also want you to comment down below and tell me what your favorite setup is in Cold War weapons and stuff like that for Warzone. So, once again, let's get right into this. So anyways, guys, the best attachments for you to be using for assault rifles especially is going to go as this. For the assault rifles, you always want to have on the KGB eliminator if you're having problems with recoil, that is. If you're not having really many problems with recoil, then I would say just running the last suppressor. Don't run like the middle suppressor. Always run the last suppressor. They always change the name. It's either GRU suppressor, agency suppressor. Now for the AK, it's the GRU suppressor. What this does is pretty much, it works like the monolithic suppressor. It increases your damage range and your sound suppression. But as you guys can see, it does take away from your aim down sight speed and your aim walking steadiness. What the KGB eliminator does, it increases your recoil control for vertical recoil. It does make your horizontal recoil a little bit worse, but if you're having problems with vertical recoil, I'm telling you, this is by far the best attachment for you to put on. Not only just that, when you're in a gunfight, people know where you are anyways. I don't know, in my opinion, sometimes suppressors in Warzone can just be helpful, but at the same time, they aren't necessary, in my opinion. I don't know, like, I've been running this on my weapons and I haven't been having any issues, I'll put it that way. For my underbarrel, I always run the second to last grip because that helps with your vertical recoil control and your horizontal recoil control, and this works the same way for all of the assault rifles. The second to last grip, which is for the AK once again, is the Spetsnaz grip, always helps with your vertical recoil control and your horizontal recoil control, so that is by far one of the best ones to be running. Now for everything else, I would say that's all of your preference. The best optic in my opinion is going to be the Axial Arms 3x optic, or even the Royal and Cross 4x optic. Sometimes the 2x optic is also good as well, but those are by far my 3 top favorites. Especially for the most peripherals, I would say the Axial Arms 3x is by far the best optic in general for the Cold War weapons because it gives you range and it gives you good peripherals on your vision. For the barrels and stuff like that, you always want to have something that has effective damage range and bullet velocity. Now for certain weapons, as you guys can see, if you run the last barrel, it'll reduce your vertical recoil control and your horizontal recoil control, making it harder to handle. But with all the attachments that I put on, as you guys can see, the control barely even goes down on this because I have so much recoil control attachments on my weapon. So I really don't mind running this attachment, even though it does hurt my vertical recoil. It increases my damage, my effective damage range, and my bullet velocity. Once again though, if you guys are having problems with recoil control, always look out for the barrels that increase your effective damage range and bullet velocity at the same time, because all it takes away from you is your shooting movement speed and your aim walking movement speed. It doesn't hurt your recoil control at all, but it also gives you that extra damage range boost and the extra bullet velocity. So it does help you in gunfights as well. Moving on to the SMGs and stuff like that, this is pretty much the same thing. If you guys are having recoil control, which the SMGs in Cold War are pretty easy to handle, but I pretty much deck my stuff out for hip fire accuracy and stuff like that. But I run the SOCOM eliminator for this anyways, because if you're right up in people's faces anyways, it doesn't really matter to have a suppressor because you're right there in their face. So this one pretty much just helps with your muzzle flash concealment and your vertical recoil. And then for my barrel, always, if you guys have it unlocked, as you guys can see, I don't have my MAC-10 leveled up all the way, but always, if you have it leveled up, always run the last barrel because it helps with your damage, effective damage range, and also your bullet velocity. Here, let me show you guys my MP5 setup so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Always run the last barrel when you're running on the SMGs because it does help your damage, effective damage range, and bullet velocity. It does take away from your vertical recoil control and horizontal recoil control, but you're really not going to be needing that too much, especially if you're running and gunning and you're right up in their face, because with SMGs, as I said once again, you're right up in people's faces, and the recoil control on these guns aren't really all that hard. For my MP5, I'm running the agency suppressor to increase my damage range and my sound suppression, because sometimes the MP5 is good for mid-range fights as well. So the extra damage range is nice for this. Not only just that, this gun really doesn't have any recoil problems, so I really didn't mind running the agency suppressor. For the field agent grip, just in case if I just wanted a little bit of boost, I did increase my vertical recoil control and my horizontal recoil control with this attachment right here. And then I ran the Salvo 50 round fast mags. Now, the good thing about the Cold War weapons are they do have crappy reloads. They do. But the good thing about this is you have fast mags. Unlike Modern Warfare, you had to put sleight of hand as a perk. The good thing about Cold War is that you can run a 50 round mag and also have fast mag equipped to it as well. So I run that always. I always run the highest mag that has fast mag or speed loader involved with it, because that helps you a lot whenever you're actually needing the extra bullets. And then also you do reload pretty fast with all of these actual magazines. For the laser, I'm running the SWAT 5 milliwatt laser sight. Always run this sight right here, this laser sight right here, if you guys are trying to get the best hip fire accuracy, because the steady aim laser increases your hip fire accuracy a little bit, but the 5 milliwatt increases it a lot more. Now for the Ember sighting point, that one also does help with your hip fire accuracy, but it doesn't help as much as the 5 milliwatt laser. So if you're running for hip fire accuracy on your SMGs, if you're trying to get a similar build to Modern Warfare, the SWAT 5 milliwatt laser sight is by far the best one for you guys to be running on your SMGs. For the tactical rifles and stuff like that, let me find one of my builds. I'll go to the AUG. I've been using the AUG a lot. Now, for these actual guns, they do have a decent amount of recoil sometimes, but they do hit really hard. So for these guns right here, I've been decking them out with recoil control and damage range and damage. So I'm always running the last barrels on both of these tactical rifles, the M16 and the AUG. The Type 63 is also really good. I'll give you my setup for that as well. But I'm running the damage range barrel, and the damage and stuff like that is the very last barrel. And then I'm running the SOCOM Eliminator to help with my vertical recoil control. I'm also running the field agent grip once again, the second to last underbarrel, because it helps with vertical recoil control and horizontal recoil control as well. Then I'm running the airborne elastic wrap because it helps with your ADS speed, because sometimes like the ADS speeds in this game can be really wonky, and always the last rear grip helps with your ADS speed the most. And then also with this, it comes with flinch resistance. Whenever you get shot, you don't flinch as much, and then you get to aim basically drop shot. You get the drop shot. And then once again, I'm running the axial arms 3x optic. As you guys can see as well, for my M16, it's pretty much the same exact build, except I'm putting the agency suppressor because I feel like the M16 doesn't have as much recoil. And then, yeah, same attachments pretty much. But for my Type 63, let me roll down to that. My Type 63, now as you guys know, this gun is really broken in Warzone. This gun is really broken in Warzone. It's really, really good, and it barely has any recoil. So the best thing you guys can run on this would be your GRU silencer, your Task Force barrel, which is the last barrel, your Spetsnaz for vertical recoil control and horizontal recoil control, because you're using a suppressor. Just in case if you guys are struggling, always run that attachment, because it really doesn't hurt to run it. It only affects your shooting movement speed, which you're not really going to notice too much. Your GRU elastic wrap will help with your ADS speed and your flinch resistance a lot, which is going to come in handy with this gun. And then the axial arms 3x is going to help with distance. Crazy build. I recommend trying this one out. Moving on to other things, like for sniper rifles, you want to have the perfect balance between damage range and also ADS speed. So the best thing I can actually suggest to you guys would be running the wrapped suppressor, of course, because it gives you extra damage range, and you need that a lot when you're running snipers in Warzone. It also gives you damage, sound suppression. But for the barrel, always run the last ones. The last ones increase your fire rate, your bullet velocity, and your damage all at once. That's very necessary when it comes to sniping in general, because it can help you eliminate people a lot quicker. Now for the ammunition, you're not going to need too many, and this plays a big part in your ADS speed, because if you're running something like the Salvo 9 round fast mag, it decreases your ADS speed by a ton. So I really just recommend running the fast mag in general, because it doesn't hurt your ADS speed at all, but it helps with your reload speed. For the rear grip, always run the airborne elastic wrap or the last rear grip because it helps with your ADS speed a lot and your flinch resistance a lot. And also, once again, you can drop shot, but you really don't do that much with snipers. But I recommend this one right here because it helps with flinch resistance and it helps with ADS speed a ton. And then for my stock, I'm running the Raider pad because it helps with your sprint to fire time and your aim walking movement speed, which is pretty necessary when you're sniping if you're needing to move and stuff like that. If you're just hard scoping, I get it. Sometimes you want to move around so you don't just get beamed. I don't know. But I do want to say that's by far one of the best stocks. Now, the default optics for these snipers are actually pretty good. I'm not a big fan of any of these optics. Now, you do have a 20 times scope in this. Let me find the one that I'm talking about. Where is it at? I don't think it has it for this one. Yeah, it is. Ultra Zoom Custom. It gives you up to 2 times to 20 times magnification. Now, this is a pretty good sight, and I was running this for a little while. But I realized that the extra attachment for my, I guess you would say, aim walking steadiness and movement speed, it came in handy, and I prefer to run that instead because the default optics for the snipers, once again, are not that bad. Everything else from secondaries and stuff like that, it's just the same thing. Akimbos are really good. Akimbos are really good in Warzone. I don't know, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, there's so many different things. The Diamantes are broken right now. I made a video about that. This exact setup right here is completely broken if you guys want to try that up as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I'm telling you, these are by far the best attachments if you're running on your weapons, and I hope you guys do give them a try, and I hope it does help you guys get some better recoil control and better, I guess you would say, gameplay with the new weapons. But as much again, peace.